The changed one. My wife and I are both turning 25 in a month or so. We have been married for a little over 2 years. We have no kids. We miscarried a few months ago. We are both about equally accomplished in our career paths, but she works in corporate so she makes more money than me. We have a house that's 1.5 years into its mortgage, 2 cars that are not paid off yet, and we both have student loans. However, we have never missed a payment and have no trouble making these payments. 3 weeks ago, my wife had an affair. A workplace affair, albeit he works for the company from a different state. In 2 days, she is getting on a plane to see him again. I do not want to divorce her. I love this woman with everything I am. I made a commitment to her before God. She's determined to leave me. For starts, I need help exposing and ending a workplace affair in a way that is not vindictive or spiteful. I want this affair to end because I care about her, and this affair is dangerous for her, regardless of if my marriage survives. My wife has intentionally kept information pertaining to him a secret. All I know is that he is in the same company and he is single. I believe she has kept it a secret for the fact that she doesn't want me to expose her. However, I have plenty to expose her with. I am afraid to appear spiteful, as you have mentioned. I should worry less about that. So far, the only people that know are her parents, my brother, and anyone she has told in private. I should probably mention that my wife and I randomly are on Facebook. That being said, I did take your advice and look when this was first happening. I could only really narrow it down to 4 people. One mutual friend, my wife, works at same company. She does use Facebook Messenger, but there is no way I know to view that. If she doesn't tell me his name, I do not know how to get it. The 4 Facebook friends have not been active for a while in some cases, but I do have reason to believe they primarily communicated through Facebook Messenger. She uses a Samsung phone. I have zero access to it. I have already looked into the spyware and apps I would need to download on her phone. Also, I do not know her unlocked password. I forgot to also mention, she is somewhat moved out of the house. She does not sleep or do anything at the house. I just don't have physical access to her phone, and she is the primary owner of our phone service. Without asking her for the account password, I cannot view our paperless bills. Her parents have also stated that they are fearful of her losing her job, but are agreeing that it cannot be a secret anymore. I am someone who plays by the rules, and I do get the feeling that it's not going to help me here. Should I give her the chance to not get on the plane, albeit a lost cause, or do I just pull the trigger and let everyone outside of her work know? I told one of her coworkers today, and as expected, she has detonated in my face. Called me immediately furious. Said she is talking to a lawyer this afternoon to draw up papers. I guess it's going well so far. As I stated before, his Facebook is completely blank. Nobody involved in the scenario relies on FB. I have told all family members so far on my side and her side. I have told many friends of hers, one coworker and his brother. The article says aim to tell everyone in about 24 hours. Her parents do not want me to tell her boss because they don't want her to lose her job. I worked on exposure all day. It was extremely hard. Every person I told felt more and more like a betrayal. I told her boss, her brother, my brother, her 3 best girlfriends, 2 of her coworkers, and the best I could get on the other man was 2 messages out to his brother and sister, found later. I know it was not advised, but I told the other man I know his identity, which he was probably pretty certain was going to be kept secret. I thought that would help increase her baggage. Her parents, my parents, and 2 of her uncles already knew. I'm sorry if I fell short of your guys' expectations, but I tried hard. While she has betrayed her commitment to me, it's still hard for me to cross her. Update for today: the gates are open. She has called me about 30 times. I did answer once to tell her I love you and I care about you. I am trying to end this affair because it's dangerous for you. She obviously did not like that response, just like I knew she would not. She is claiming I have the wrong OM, which I would say is probably false. The OM did call me and I answered. Did not remember the number. He was our dialogue roughly. This is OM, is this OP? Yeah, how's it going? I am pretty concerned about these accusations. I do not really understand. You are having an affair with my wife. What's to understand? We are just friends. You 2 talk on the phone for 90-minute intervals a lot of times for friends, and she doesn't just fly to SC for friends. Oh, she's flying to SC, I didn't know that. I don't appreciate that you have my brother involved. You are going a long way for this accusation, and you are wrong. If I am wrong, then you're safe. Have a good day. He sounded like the right guy, trying to act innocent, and he was really sarcastic. I told him that I am aware of the affair he is having with my wife. Her dad told her uncles. She told me about the affair, but not the individual. I do not know how to get in contact with anyone higher than my wife's boss, let alone someone from another state. My wife's parents are some of the godliest people I know, and they have excellent marriage values. They are on an emotional roller coaster, not as extreme as mine. They are thinking, how could our daughter do anything like this? I do believe in what I've done. I have talked to a lot of her close friends and family members. I just keep letting them know that the affair is dangerous and needs to end. I am 99% sure she got on the plane last night. Hopefully I induced enough panic on the right other man. I am prepared to keep this fight up much longer than a few days, but let's just say, it's nice to hope she gets back and ends the affair due to outside pressures. I am doubtful though. She is back in town and there was some reaction during her lunch break, so I wasn't home. She came back to the house and stripped it of many of her things. I spoke with Dad, explaining that the variety of things she took was really odd, almost like she was just in a blind fury. As for the OM and exposure, I think I put down as many bullets as I could. Never tracked down his parents, but did get eventual responses from the sister and brother. Mom-in-law has assured me that by now the parents undoubtedly know. My wife's parents and I are still not on talking terms, but it's something I just have to live with. In fact, the last time I spoke to my father-in-law he said, "I think you went too far. She's so angry she may never recover." Then he insinuated that she may move away. I think he is delusional. His daughter could never move away from him. We lived in another state for 1 year and she hated not being around her family. I have been staying in contact with her slightly younger brother, who unfortunately had to find out from deployment about this all. He was very upset. He told me he is talking to her tonight. I do believe I have activated all the best players to let my wife know that it's not just me that thinks this is a horrible idea, it's everyone. Except her coworkers, of course, who just like the world and could care less about marriage. She is 100% sleeping with him, she told me. Yes, she has only been with me until now. We had sex before marriage, but we were each other's only physical partner. I do believe I can get over it. I do believe that time will heal the wounds, but as you said, only if she does eventually recognize the pain I've endured. If she is one of the unresentful ones, blaming me at every turn for the affair, etc., then maybe I will just have to accept that this is beyond repair. I know my wife. This affair was bred out of an immense amount of temptation at her workplace, happy hours, spouseless corporate trips, to commit the affair, plus me not being a spiritual leader to help her fight those battles at work. She is a good person. She's just in a fog, as you've all mentioned so many times. It may be too much to overcome, but I want to be the one that decides. Backstory on my childhood and parents, as it may help you advise me moving forward in marriage. I was raised in a house where love was assumed, never spoke. I did chores because it was my obligation as a son. I was punished for disrespect, but never rewarded for doing good things. After all, it was my obligation as a son. I told my mother that I loved her often, and she told me. But where I drew most of my development was from my father. Growing up, the respect for him was very high, so high that if I failed in any way I felt as if I let him down. I was usually right, he would tell me. My parents are awesome. Everything I am today is because of the strong respect structure I had at home. I have only ever told my dad I loved him one time, prior to this affair, and that was in a letter I wrote him and hand-delivered on the morning of my wedding. My dad and I spoke on exposure day, which even at almost 25 I was afraid that this was an instance where I had compromised his pride with my problems. He said he was proud to have raised a son that values marriage so deeply in a world that treats it like a date. He said I am a stronger man than him for wanting this to work out despite the affair. He said he knew that I would always be a son who valued commitments, because I was raised different than the world. I guess some things I am trying to point out is: 1. My dad and I are closer now than ever from this affair. 2. I am too much like my dad, and my wife is too little like my mom. 3. How to deal with this assumed love family life that I have had so deeply ingrained to my life. She was home over lunch. I saw her on our doggy camera. She made a lot of racket and it got me worried that the house was destroyed. But I listened just a little longer and she was playing with the dogs and was cheery. Said something about "I wish I could see you guys more and I miss you guys" to the dogs. I went home to confirm the house was not destroyed, and it wasn't. Almost nothing I could notice of her things were missing. I can't tell if maybe she was playing mind games with me. She has always turned off the doggy camera. 2 things could have happened. 1. She actually forgot to turn it off. 2. She wanted to make a bunch of racket and try to get in my head. Either way, I am a little encouraged that nothing substantial was missing, and most of all, nothing in the house was broken. Last encouraging point: she was not on the phone with other men. Now that doesn't mean they are done, but who knows, maybe they aren't actually inseparable. She made a deposit into our checking account today. It looked to be about half of her coaching money she gets every 2 weeks. So at least she's putting money back into our accounts. I still feel pretty grim about the situation, but obviously today could be a lot worse. I am supposed to meet her dad tonight to talk about some basement projects that he started with me, so I'll probably update everyone on that conversation. Remember, me and him are not on excellent terms in his eyes. Pretty good talk with her dad, but at the same time pretty crummy. He said I'm no longer welcome at his home because my wife said she will never come over if there is a chance I could show up unannounced. That hurt. I did get a chance to defend the exposure to her boss. I said, had it been a friend from college, high school, or somewhere else, then her boss would not have needed involved. But it was a person from her company. I had to tell her boss, so that felt good to say. Time will tell and the dust needs to settle. I just wish I could go to bed. So today my mom is getting blown up by friends on my side saying, "Why is your son's wife's Facebook showing single?" or "Why did your son's wife take all her pictures with your son down?" I told her to have them all ask her themselves on Facebook. I told my mom that she needs to be uncomfortable. Surely, she won't block everyone. I know it's pretty standard wayward behavior, but if she wants to try to go on a power trip over Facebook, which she must have started using way more often than she used to, then I say let her deal with that can of worms herself. Like what did she expect? People weren't going to ask about me and just go along with it. I have been telling people just to confront her outright. Any other advice? Been dealing with some real anger lately. I am mad especially at my in-laws. Don't they realize that if she can leave me and keep her family, that is exactly what she wants? She needs to lose her family and lose me, or gain me and gain her family. Not in between. Obviously, I am an angry at other man. I asked my brother if he can get me the HR contact for his company, which he said he does not exactly know how to get, but he'd look for me. I want to send something to HR about the other man, just in case he is not feeling any pressure at his work 5 states away. I have a free consultation with a lawyer tomorrow to evaluate my options. I don't care about what I get. If I got 100% of what we own, I'd just sell it all anyways and start over. I want to stall and delay as long as possible. I know Ohio has no-fault divorce, but it takes a substantial time to finish with one party not in agreement. I am not divorcing her until I know without a doubt she is unsavable. And I won't know that until the affair ends. If it doesn't end in 1 to 2 years, I will assume it's unsavable. Some other friends I have talked to have also said that the divorce process sometimes breaks the fog for a WS. The way divorce attorneys handle it just overwhelms the WS with guilt. Like I said, I am meeting a lawyer tomorrow. She has no grounds to divorce me on in a way that would conclude this quickly. I finally tracked down our pastor last night. He also is the one that married us. We go to a big church and he was out of the country for the last few weeks, so I finally got to talk to him in person. He was devastated. He has known my wife and her family for a very long time. He was completely on board with me telling everyone and even her company, saying your marriage is far more important than her career. I asked him to talk to my in-laws because they are in emotional turmoil second only to me. He said he would prepare himself in prayer before calling my wife today. There was a charge on our credit card for gas in Indiana, where our matron of honor lives. It appears she went to talk to her, which is encouraging. Looks like some of this exposure is catching up. Some friends have called me to tell me what I am doing is very Christ-like and it is making them evaluate themselves as a husband. I just keep telling them that I have a strategy and a group of people who deal with infidelity in marriages daily. That's you guys. Yesterday was quite encouraging for me after about 4 p.m. Today I meet with my attorney, so I may quickly get discouraged around that time. But maybe not. Attorney said he is going to talk to her attorney and demand those automatic bill payments get canceled. He said she will pay me the half she has agreed to via transfers to the joint account. He said you are the one in the house, so you should be in charge of those bills because you are the one the lights get turned off on. He also said he is going to get my half of the savings back. He said we will take the max time to respond, then it will go to pretrial, which he said will be in mid-February. He said at that point he will suggest the Marshall reconciliation, which if she denies will still buy some time. Then a trial date will be set, and that's as much time as he can buy me. He said I told you I'd do it for $1,000 and that's what I'm charging you when I inquired about his fees. So, I paid him today on the joint credit card, which I was worried because it's joint and that was in my restraining order, but he would have said something I imagine. I asked if I should cite adultery and he explained that it would make the cost go up because you have to prove it and that takes legal work. Also, it would not help my counteractions. It would be like I am actually asking for divorce at that point. I told him I want to lift the restraining order on my wife about her being able to visit the home. He said that is very doable. Once she has been served, obviously. Just looking at the list I have the dad, 4 aunts, about 10 cousins, 1 coworker who also knows my wife, 3 to 4 friends and 7 to 10 unknown relationships to OM, but have the last name. I am handwriting the OM's parents because the dad's FB looked extremely dated, and the mother does not have one. Way, I see it, about 20 people exposed right before Thanksgiving. I heard from an unreliable source that my wife said my husband and I are going out of town this weekend, so she is once again getting exposure right as she gets on an airplane if that's the case, and she will have a fun Thanksgiving with the other man's family, I am sure. Just when I think I am getting my footing back, something else happens and rattles me all over. My cousin was in a car accident this weekend. I just wanted to have my wife to comfort me and talk to, but I had no one. I did start my routine today and was successful at upholding all my tasks I wanted to complete. I really would have liked to have her around for this news, especially later this week for the viewing, etc. On the flip side, I have kept my schedule today. I know it's only one day so far, but I have tomorrow mostly planned out. I am using an app that works by stacking tasks rather than using an actual time, so you literally have to plan every minute of an entire day. I wanted to make sure I was emphasizing on myself the value of planning every task to become extra regimented. Hanging in there. Work is going better today. I had been struggling tremendously lately to keep my performance up. The schedule is helping, I think, and will help in the future as well. This morning is off to a good start. Got a call from the police department in OM's area. The officer said that I am going to be on the butt end of harassment charges soon. She said I cannot contact other man's family or other man's employer anymore. I said if other man can speak on behalf of his family, I am going to go to my local police and ask he stop talking to my wife. Flustered, she said no, you can't do that. None of his family wants to talk to you. I said some of them do, I have been talking to some of them. She said I am just warning you to stop before you face harassment charges. I believe his employer said to stop talking to employees from his company. His employer said to only talk to one representative moving forward, which I have done and plan to keep doing. I said send me the exact law because I have done exactly zero threatening. She was a real piece of work and said it's no one's business to know that. You and your wife have a problem, you get it figured out. My wife, OM, and I have a problem, and we are getting it figured out. I am waiting on her email soon. She was saying that my handwritten letter to the mother was too much. My emails to the coworkers were over the top, and lastly the calls, which I have made none, to the family was too much. I just closed the conversation with everyone who needs to know, now knows. The higher-ups at his company know, the vice president of human relations knows, all his family knows. I do not really have anyone else to tell. It was almost the exact same conversation I had with the police officer about my wife's harassment claims. Nobody thinks it should be public knowledge. It's like our entire society agrees affairs should be secret, and who cares about the betrayed spouse? Let's just defend the affair partners. I will probably paste the law, if it's not too lengthy, in this thread for interpretation. I guess now I have been warned by 2 police departments, but it was by police officers, not lawyers. Her best friend, our maid of honor, had an affair in her first marriage. She said that she felt terrible, but her husband did not fight for her at all, he just aided the divorce process. She said about a year later she wanted to reconcile with him, but he had already gotten engaged by that time. She does not blame him for that obviously, but she has told me these things to get to the point of you are fighting for her WC. Her and her current husband have been 2 of my biggest supporters in all of this. I just keep clinging to the words she said, you are fighting. She has canceled meetings on her best friend many times during all this, because she won't tell her what she wants to hear obviously. There is nothing more I can do. My wife either comes back or she does not. I just am stuck here thinking, wow, is she really going to pick that company and him over me? I have started to prepare for an all-out assault if necessary. I have thought of exactly who I would send interrogatories to, subpoena on phone record, etc. I have gathered all messages I have sent, and what days I sent them. However, I asked my lawyer to negotiate that my WW drop the charges, and in return I will cease exposure. I am done anyways. In law, and I spoke for a very long time talking about how I should proceed. The fact is, if OM was coming at me with these charges, I would not hesitate one bit to completely unload on him. However, it is likely he has much more financial backing than I do. But the fact of the matter is, it's my wife. One thing HPB and I talked about was being able to identify when I am killing the affair, and when I am killing the affair at the cost of recovery. We both agreed that the best route to take was negotiate that the charges be dropped. If my WW and her lawyer refuse to drop the charges, consult my lawyer about countersuing or at least making this extremely unpleasant. I like this route because sure, everything from this gets relayed to other man through my wife, but that is just it. It literally goes through my wife to get to him. She absorbs all the damage from this if I become extra persistent. In other words, I am prepared for a war, but I think this is a fight that I do not need to fight for the marriage. Now, if other man wants to send me some paperwork, we can dance. Might need donations though. Who all knows now? For fun, I made a list for anyone following this thread. My side: mom, dad, 2 brothers, 2 grandmothers, entire family extended out to first cousins, minus 5 coworkers, and my 2 superior bosses. All my Facebook friends that would have saw my status or her marital status change. About 50 people have mentioned something to me in support of the situation. Our pastor. Her side: mom, dad, 2 brothers, 2 grandmothers. She has about 50 relatives on her dad's side alone. I'd say about 30 of them are aware of the situation. Her aunts on her mom's side. Her maid of honor, matron of honor, and last bridesmaid. Our pastor. OM's side: mom, handwritten letter and phone call, dad, brother, stepsister. I sent about 30 messages to his family on FB, most notably his cousin responded. The company they work for. The VP of Human Relations. The regional HR manager of OM region. The regional HR manager of my wife's region. My wife's direct superior, boss, minus 3 of her closest coworkers, minus 5 of his coworkers. 1 was mutually a friend with my wife, and was very unpleasant in his response. My brother works for the same company about 40 miles away. That entire office is aware thanks to my brother aiding in exposure. 1 of her coworkers from this company when we lived in PA. 1 of her coworkers that moved to FL. Bonus: I told the tanning salon lady of the salon my wife and I go to, because the lady said, I saw your wife earlier today. She said you and her were going out of town this weekend. I just replied, oh, my wife is having an affair and trying to divorce me. I love her though and would love to recover this marriage. Have a good one. I signed up for a half marathon last night, and I am getting involved with a local CrossFit training facility with my uncle. It's just like every hour that passes actually takes 3 hours to me. Every day seems like an entire week. Once all these activities get started, maybe time will go faster. Man, I hope so. A legal battle, I am scared of thinking about it. I look at our case docket often, and when I see new motion notices filed by her, it just gets me anxious and afraid. I've been freaking myself out thinking about what it is. I do not even really know what a notice of that nature refers to. I tried to stop taking my AAS because they were making me sick to the stomach, but I feel a part in nervousness at work on Friday when I tried. Just highs and lows. Today has been kind of a low for me. I did not cite adultery in the case, I only denied incompatibility. In Ohio, adultery is not illegal. Additionally, my attorney said if I wanted to cite adultery, it would only help facilitate divorce. It would be like I am filing for divorce myself. I am doing nothing to defend myself from the TRO violation for 2 reasons. 1, it's going to get thrown out. 2, if it doesn't get thrown out, I probably won't get fined or jailed, only a smack on the wrist. I had a talk with HPB last night and it cooled me off a little bit today. The thing is, which some of you have commented on, is I like to follow the rules. I battle with sticking my wife with a mortgage payment. If she doesn't pay it, I am at a mental war with paying it myself, which enables her. I battle with taking the gloves off, which I need to do sometimes to save myself through all this. I do not want to mislead anyone. I took the TRO violation case very serious, asked my attorney if we should start gathering a list of people to send interrogatories to, start the process of gathering her phone records, text messages, etc. if he would need the letters and list of people I exposed to and everything of that nature. What I was trying to say is my attorney said that would be wasted money because he believes the case is going to get thrown out. I asked him to make sure it does and he said he would. Especially if she does not come back from SC to persecute further, the case is going to get tossed. The notice of submission she filed last week is still not uploaded to the public record yet. I will update you all when I find out what it is for. My guess it is relating to the TRO violation case. Last week I sent my Addie a car insurance cancellation notice, our new mortgage company information. Our mortgage was sold to another company, and the homeowner's insurance cancellation notice. All the cancellation notices were due to lack of payment. I sent my attorney all these documents to forward to her attorney because I have no way of contacting her now. I got her attorney's response yesterday. Hi OP's attorney, I am in receipt of this email and your previous email regarding the car insurance. The issue with the car insurance payment was a mistake on the part of the agent. My client was completely unaware of the cancellation of house insurance included in this email. My client is taking care of the insurance premium, but will no longer be covering the mortgage payment, the next of which will be due February 1st. Please let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you, WW attorney. Just sent my attorney my response to my wife's answer. WC's attorney, I am not in a position to pay the mortgage, and will not be paying it if my wife continues to pursue this divorce. I accept that it may go into default, delinquency. Additionally, I will be leaving the house if she continues to pursue the divorce. As for the interrogatory and production of documents, how long could I really wait on these to slow it down? I know the due date is stated as Jan. 28th, but how long do I really have? Is it possible to just wait until they file another motion requiring me to answer them? Please advise. It is still my assumption that she will find a way to make sure the house does not go into default to save her credit. Whether it be extreme financial pressure on herself, the other man pays for it, she asks her dad for help, etc. Regardless, it's a stress on the affair. If she does not pay it and it does go into default, it will just destroy her and I's credit, which I am okay with. I will survive, will she? Whistle. Also, still trying to slow the divorce down with what I can. Saw an opportunity with the interrogatory, so thought I would ask about it. Also, her attorney had another hearing on the original date of our pretrial, Feb. 1st, and filed a motion for continuance at another date. The court just released the new pretrial date, which to my delight is an entire month later, Feb. 29th. My wife is the primary on all of our accounts for 2 reasons. 1, she does not like snail mail. I love snail mail, so she set up all the direct debits. 2, I made her the primary on everything. I always wanted her to know that she was my everything. She knew this. I also always thought that I would be the one to mess up, and I told her I want her to be able to have it all in case that happened. Wow, am I mad? Bad day at work, unrelated to this Marshall conflict, has led me to coming in late after dinner. I will probably be in the lab all night. I just clocked in again at like 11:30 p.m. and I will probably be leaving normal time tomorrow, 4 to 5:30 p.m. That is not why I am angry. In fact, it's not all that bad at work. Some of my analysts that I supervise really messed up today, so I am playing damage control at work. But the overnight work today and extra toll on my body has just thrown me into a complete angry fit. I am so mad at my wife because I need help around the house. When I work late or extra hours now, I have no help. My dogs need attention. I have so much laundry I was planning on completing tonight. I wanted to clean around the house, but I can't. Everything gets cleaned up half as fast now, albeit the messes accumulate half as fast too. I went home after work to let the dogs out and get some dinner, skipped lunch at work today, and they had got into the trash. So, I'm cleaning that up, just fuming and angry as my wife just vacations with OM&SC. It's like -5 degrees outside and she is in South Carolina where they are still getting mid-50. It rains every other day it seems and the dogs track mud inside, so I have to clean that up. I have 0 groceries in the house. It was supposed to be a team effort. We agreed to maintain all this together. When she works late, I do the laundry, dishes, and take the dogs for a walk. When I work late, she did the same. Now, I work and the freaking house falls apart. I get home exhausted from work and stress of all this and the work cannot be divided up, because there is only one, me. I vented to SMB today that I want to call my attorney and request to the magistrate that they throw out my wife's divorce request to replace it with mine, one that says adultery committed by wife instead of incompatibility. For the first time I am just absolutely livid pissed about this whole thing. She abandoned me to go do Lord knows what, and I am left here cleaning up the life that we created, the life meant to have 2 people working together. During this marriage, one thing that always got mentioned by my wife and her dad was how much more mature she was than me. Her dad was always telling me my daughter is 10 years ahead of everyone her age and maturity. Well, if I ever saw him again, I would say your daughter is acting like a freaking 3-year-old at Walmart crying that she can't get a box of Oreos. I am so far ahead of her in maturity it's silly now. And every day I am just distancing myself in that department. So, here I am at work, about to go 16 to 17 hours straight. I did not want to try to do that with all this on my heart. I am mad. I feel like it needed documented. I feel better already typing it. I am going to just turn on my K-Love and zone out here at work. She does not deserve the real estate in my head right now. And I hope I don't know, trips and falls down at work or something. She has been granted the motion to be absent from the pretrial, available by phone, and that the plaintiff has relocated outside the state of Ohio and has new employment. It would be a hardship to travel back for the pretrial. Like is our marriage so unimportant that she cannot even come back and divorce me properly? Looked at a townhouse today to rent, one that allows my 2 dogs. I just got so sick and lightheaded. It was so hard to convince myself that I needed to look at it seriously. I just got so nauseous. It's so much harder to look at something without any consideration about her. I don't know if I should just stay in my house and write it out for free until the court dissects my life more than it already has. My attorney just sent me, in his words, the first humane response from my wife's attorney, wife. They wrote, in an interest to preserve the health and welfare of the parties' dogs, my client has paid the mortgage should your client wish to continue residing in the marital home to care for the dogs. If your client is unwilling to stay at the marital residence and take care of the dogs or has already moved from the home, my client needs to know where the dogs are located so that she can make arrangements for the care of the dogs. Are the dogs being kept at the marital residence? If not, where are they being kept? Is your client living at the marital residence? If so, will he continue to do so and will he care for the dogs if the mortgage is paid? My client will also need a key for access to the marital home if your client is not living in it since he changed the locks. My client also does not have a key to the car out front my house. A copy of the key can be forwarded through my office. We responded with, yes, I'll remain in the home and watch the dogs if the mortgage is paid. She doesn't need a key to the home. We will mail a car key to her attorney's office. Had a busy week of church activities. Bible study yesterday, man church tonight, and I'm volunteering at a kids event tomorrow at my church. Got friends coming over Saturday night for dinner. Then I got Sunday service and I am coaching wrestling in the evening Sunday night. It was a little encouraging to see that she offered to pay for the house she is trying to sell. I don't know, maybe I am making too much out of nothing, but she might be a little torn. Oh well. Invited friends over for dinner tomorrow. I am a great cook, trying to keep looking good from the outside even when inside it's tough. I am a supervisor at work and had an employee just walk out the door today and quit. My boss and I joked together and I said, don't worry, I am an expert when people I need abandon me. We both laughed and carried on. Certainly, feel like this week was a little better for me. I did not get a single pushback about exposure from any of her real friends or family, only from those at her workplace. Her maid of honor has been one of my biggest supporters. I have her and her husband over a couple times a month, I would say. I think I am going to take the coaching position. I am like 90% yes right now. Not because of my WW, but because of my day job. I am not sure how it will work out. It is for next season, so I would not be doing anything substantial until like June. My other small business I started is doing okay getting started, and I was recently approached by another friend about partnering for another small business. I really kind of turning my emotions towards work, probably working 60 to 70 hours a week at my chemist job, which needs to stop soon because I am salaried and it's frustrating not getting odd. About 5 to 7 hours in my startup business, I suspect less than 10 hours in the small business my friend was talking about. I have started to consider a new job. My degree is really for something other than chemistry, and I came back to this area just for my wife to be closer to her parents. I could be doing better some other part of the country, do not get me wrong. My family is also in this area, so I like it a lot. Another note about work. One of my friends has told me that he knows some friends in sales that are desperate for a young guy or gal with good work ethic, and he thinks I could be great for it. Just starting to consider things without my wife's involvement nowadays. She is clinging to that thought as much as I thought. My attorney is pretty certain that any claim she makes about exposure will be laughable. The TRO violation she cited exposure in, harassing and annoying the plaintiff, is probably going to throw out. I found out OM has a criminal record, underage drinking and disrupting the peace, probably a high school party, and a ton of speeding tickets. It's just frustrating that this is the kind of piece of crap that she would never interact with back in the day. Additionally, I am infinitely straighter and narrower than this guy. It's only been 6 to 7 months since the affair started, only 6 months since she moved out, and 5 months into the divorce process. It's not like I can start a relationship with anyone right now anyways. She filed a motion to dismiss her TRO violation, which was scheduled for Friday. We also got some paperwork with some kind of end times dates on them. Looks like this will be over legally by late May to end of June. I by no means view the divorce as the end of fighting for the marriage. That's why I said legally. I believe earlier I said I was prepared to give this about 2 years. Little update. I accepted the head coach wrestling job that I was highly seeking after before my wife's affair. I was skeptical at first as to whether it was the right thing to do. I prayed on it and I think it's going to be a perfect. I am pretty excited. I am planning on applying for a pre-approval sometime in May. I want to try to keep the house, so I will need to buy her out if she never comes around to her senses. Some things I have considered. Please weigh in with your thoughts. I like this house. It has all the things required for me to keep my dogs too, which is another plus. My brother has said he might need a place to live. He said he would pay me to live here, which would definitely help sustain the mortgage payment. I have one credit card I got when my WW took all the money and left me bone dry $0. It still has a couple $100 on its balance, no late payments or anything. I am planning on having that balance at zero before applying for the pre-approval. Do I need to get the house appraised? Will it matter to the bank that I currently stuck her with all the mortgage payments for the last couple months? If I get approved for less than the value of my house, then I guess I am screwed. I am really tired of the waiting game, but I really need to stay on top of the house situation. Asked my attorney to begin preparations for allowing my WW to pursue the divorce by way as a witness testifying that we are incompatible, original grounds she filed under. My attorney said I probably won't even need to attend court, and I will never have admitted we are incompatible. Update. Here's how everything went yesterday. Pretty stupid ending, but oh well. She was there with her mom. Her mom was the witness that testified incompatibility between me and her daughter. Then obviously my wife took the stand and testified incompatibility as well. I withdrew any comments, and the magistrate granted my wife the divorce. All expected. Before that, apparently my wife was, in the words of my attorney, very emotional about a divorce she apparently wants. And she had the audacity to ask for the dogs, which my attorney quickly snuffed out. My wife's attorney advocated that I take my online entry down with the other man's picture, employer, and full name. My attorney told me that might come up, but he used it to get more money from my wife's retirement. I agreed that, if presented with all the necessary documentation to remove the entry from the website, I would sign it. In summary, I am not lifting a finger to remove that, only signing. I don't even really know how to remove those things. Financially, I believe I made out as well as I could. Really, everyone is kind of a loser in the end, but hey, I was very impressed with my attorney. Now, for some non-legal information. You all know this was the first time I have seen my wife since November 2015. Let me tell you this. She looked awful. She had no luster, radiance, or glow. For lack of better terms, she looked dead and gray. I looked great. I had many compliments about my appearance that morning. As soon as I entered the courthouse waiting room, those two saw me and scurried away. I am a little agitated, but I told SMB last night that I finally am at the point where if she wants to try again, she will have to do so as if she was a complete stranger. I am done pursuing her. I will never be able to forget her and her mom saying, under oath, that we are incompatible. And her mom said yes to the magistrate's question of do you believe your daughter to be an honest and trustworthy person. Final update. Got an email from my ex-wife the other day. It really made moving on a lot simpler. It's absolutely disgusting. Anyways, I'll just post it here for you to look through. OP, I want to write you this letter to let you know that other man number 2 and I had a year-long emotional and physical affair during last year. I was having an affair for over a year with someone else. I so desperately wanted attention that I got it outside of my marriage. I decided a long time ago when the affair with other man number 2 started that I didn't want to be with you and that I wouldn't be with you forever. You even knew that something was going on between us and you didn't care enough to do anything about it. Don't get me wrong, I didn't want to leave you for OM number 2, I just knew that our marriage was never going to work for either of us. All of the hatred that you toward other man number 1, the one that started this thread, and his family through was directed at the wrong person. OM number 1 is not the reason that I left you and he is not the reason that we got divorced. I cannot begin to describe the disgust that I have for you and what you have done to me, my family, and most importantly to other man number 1 and his family. What you did to him by harassing him, his immediate family, his cousins and relatives, and his workplace is inexcusable, and I don't know how you can live with yourself for what you did. You deserve to know that you directed all of your hatred at the wrong man and the wrong family. Other man number 1 put up with everything that you put him and his family through because of how much he loves me. I know your intentions were only to hurt and destroy that, but it didn't matter. The only thing I regret is not telling you sooner about the affair with other man number 2. It could have saved other man number 1 and his family a lot of heartache. All in all, I want to make sure that you know why this marriage ended, and it had nothing to do with other man number 1. It didn't work because we were not supposed to be together. We were two different people who grew in different directions. I already told OM number 2 wife and made her aware of the affair. There are certain things I can't live with, and that is one of them. I am trying to right my wrongs and make up for the things I have done and the people I have hurt. I let other man number 1 take the fall for our marriage ending, and that is my biggest regret of all. He should have never had to do that. Let's just say, there is 0% chance I will ever get back with this woman. Sorry guys, I ignored your advice to just get it done and done. I sent this to OM2 wife just in case my ex-wife was lying, which she is certainly capable. I am pretty sure she was trying to harass me into taking my online post down for other man number 1, which by now they are finding is quite sticky in the internet world. I am feeling positive and liberated. Waywards are crazy and I never want to deal with them again. Like comment, isn't it so amazing how a wayward never takes accountability for their own bad behavior? Somehow you are to blame even though she sat there silently while other man number 1 took the blame. All she had to do was speak up.